Cricket fans are crazy. They pick their own bats. Sometimes to play imaginary cover drives. Sometimes to decide the batting order. They pick their own ball. Sometimes they even picked it from the... never mind. They pick their own stumps. They pick their own boundaries. Or break the boundaries. They pick their own pitches.
Oh, that's a boundary.
Stadiums. Rules. Prayers. War cries. Heroes. And their moments.
And there it is. It is all right.
Such moments are rare. Make those rare moments your own. Cricket fans are crazy. They pick their own bats. Sometimes to play imaginary cover drives. Sometimes to decide the batting order. They pick their own ball. Sometimes they even picked it from the... never mind. They pick their own stumps. They pick their own boundaries. Or break the boundaries. They pick their own pitches.
Oh, that's a boundary.
Stadiums. Rules. Prayers. War cries. Heroes. And their moments.
And there it is. It is all right.
Such moments are rare. Make those rare moments your own. Cricket fans are crazy. They pick their own bats. Sometimes to play imaginary cover drives. Sometimes to decide the batting order. They pick their own ball. Sometimes they even picked it from the... never mind. They pick their own stumps. They pick their own boundaries. Or break the boundaries. They pick their own pitches.
Oh, that's a boundary.
Stadiums. Rules. Prayers. War cries. Heroes. And their moments.
And there it is. It is all right.
Such moments are rare. Make those rare moments your own. Cricket fans are crazy. They pick their own bats. Sometimes to play imaginary cover drives. Sometimes to decide the batting order. They pick their own ball. Sometimes they even picked it from the... never mind. They pick their own stumps. They pick their own boundaries. Or break the boundaries. They pick their own pitches.
Oh, that's a boundary.
Stadiums. Rules. Prayers. War cries. Heroes. And their moments.
And there it is. It is all right.
Such moments are rare. Make those rare moments your own.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the Rario Cricket Show. This is where we relive some jaw dropping action from the past 8 seasons of the CPL, the Caribbean Premier League. Now, these moments are part of our packs, the inaugural pack drop on radio.com, which is the world's first officially licensed cricket NFT platform. These packs, we launched these packs a few days ago and were overwhelmed by the response. These packs were in partnership with the Caribbean Premier League, which is one of the world's biggest T20 leagues. And the moments that we feature here are some of the best plays from the best players across the league. Now, as we relive, as we go into our final set of silver moments, so we have had 2 episodes so far. So make sure those of you who you are joining us today, you go back and check those 2 episodes as well. In this third episode, we'll take a look at the silver moments from 21 to 30, and then we'll move on to the gold and the most epic black moments going forward. Now, to host the show today, we have Kartikeya back, and Kartikeya is someone who dons many hats in the world of sport. He's a former TV journalist, sports presenter, and writer, and he has also managed a few star players. So, welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show, Kartikeya.
Thank you so much, Nikhil. It's always awesome to be on Radio Cricket Show.
Great. And of course, something that makes that is really special to this show is the legendary commentators themselves, who have been there since the inception of this show and have made these moments special by their commentary itself. We are excited to have Danny and Tom on our show. So welcome, Danny.
Caribbean. Good to be back.
Right. And we're just waiting for Tom to join in. So we'll start the show, and wherever he joins in, we can take over. Now, today we have some, before we head into these moments, these 21 to 30 in the Silver Series, we will just have a sneak peek into what is to come. Another exciting set of lineup. So why don't we pull up what we have on today? Right. So we have like yesterday, like the day before, we have some amazing players like Ross Taylor, like Shoaib Malik. We have amazing plays, stunning catches, great wickets, and some monster hits out of the park. And we have some rivalry between teammates Dwayne Bravo and Kyron Pollard. So we have all the bases covered in today's show as we close the silver moments. So Kartikeya, why don't you over to you here, and I'll give you company till the time Tom joins in.
All right, thanks, Nikhil. You mentioned loads of sixes and catches, but you didn't mention there's also a Kiwi today that we are going to be looking keenly at, who is not Danny Morrison. So stay tuned for that as well. I'm sure we'll get Danny Moore to give us some insights into that player. But as you mentioned, it's the last day of the silver cards. It's the last 10, so to say. Terribly exciting action. We've got sixes, we've got runouts, we've got catches, we've got wickets. I also do feel that with these last few silver moments, that this is really just the sort of the basis, the benchmark of what is to come, right? Between in the next 4 or 5 days, going up to our gold moments and then our black moments. I mean, it just keeps getting better. Danny Morrison, how excited have you been? You've seen loads of these little snippets, little moments of action over the last couple of days. Today's day 3. Reliving good memories for you?
Oh, 100%, because this whole new frontier, if you like, of what we're doing here, the whole world of digital, zooming in, guys and you are on different time zones, we're waiting for Moods. He's up there in London for the finish of the 100. And then you're spawning all these new tournaments. You're going about the birth of it with a bit of the whole scenario with the IPL, the big extravaganza that is the Indian Premier League starting in 2008 and then growing and growing, and then all these other leagues happening. So I think for Moods and I, very blessed to have been here since the inaugural season in 2013. And so when we go back on that old footage, fascinating to see. Of course, the crowd scenario, and now we're in this pandemic, which is frustrating, of course. And no crowds last year at the Hero CPL, but they got it up and running, and that was a massive initiative. So Carter's looking at this, very exciting. These new platforms for fans to have a look at and reminisce and go back, and all the integration that goes on more and more for the fans, because as we go on about it, it really is about the fans, and frustratingly, because of COVID, the live scenario to go isn't quite there. So in a way, this scenario popping up and creating and being able to have more scope for fans, I think is very exciting.
No, absolutely, and I I was seeing some old clips of the Hero CPL and seeing some of the things that you've been up to over the last 8 seasons. I mean, you, Tom Moody, Ian Bishop, you're all sort of the voices of the Hero CPL, and it's grown in stature, and I think arguably is the world's number 2 biggest league, and wanting to claw at the IPL and gain some ground, but it's just a wonderful platform for local talent from the West Indies, to come through. We spoke yesterday about Jonathan Carter, youngster, played a couple of seasons of international cricket. Today we'll be talking about another player, in fact, who's the first moment of the day. It's great to see. I mean, we keep talking about young Indian talent coming through and making it international cricket. It's great to see young West Indian talent coming through the rigor and the structure that is the Hero CPL.
Well, the other thing about it is, I think everyone that is involved in different leagues totally understand and gets you're never really going to compete with the Indian Premier League because it's such a big beast. And so I look at Bangladesh, and they had their ups and downs with it. Sri Lanka just got back in, trying to create their own league. And I think the powerhouse that is the subcontinent, the Pakistan Super League, starting a little bit later in 2016 to get all those pieces of the pie right, and trying to, with their own logistical and geographical hassles for Pakistan. And then you look at the Caribbean Premier League, which started in 2013. Carter's, honestly, and Nikhil, it really is, when you're involved in a lot of these tournaments, it is about the development of the youngsters and the guys coming through to give them their platform, their stage to have a crack, and in their own backyard, and rub shoulders with some very good players, superstars of the game that want to come. So when I look at each of the franchises that I've been blessed to work on, this one is unique. And of course the tagline, the biggest party in sport, when you had the crowds in, cricket played louder, because of the music. So the culture and the music connection, the islands, the tourism thing, the beaches, there's all of that scenario with a really interesting mix that is unique. And of course then the IPL with its extravaganza and what it can create and do when it's played normally in India with the whole extravaganza going off at the stadia, is so second to none, because your sheer numbers and the massive passion and of course the massive resources there. So that's the neat thing for me, is that each franchise has to target what it has to target and create within its own setup to make it interesting and unique. And that's certainly about the CPL. The real flavour here makes it attractive for the players to bring their wives and family too. Let's be honest and upfront. It really is almost like a tourist holiday destination. It is, but for the players, it's quite a relaxed T20. As much as they're under the pump, the stars, because of what we mentioned yesterday with you, Carters, and Tom Moody rightly said, the big players, yes, there is a lot of pressure on them, but they relish that too. You want to go out and perform. You want to, showcase your talent, and just feel it, let it flow, particularly pre-COVID. The crowds and everything and the music, as I say, it helped lift us. It made our job, I can tell you, a heck of a lot easier. And you'll know this, Carters, with all your experience. When you're in a box, then there's that atmosphere, window open, and you can actually just breathe it all in, and the action's happening. It is a lot easier. To be fair, this is a lot more challenging now with no crowds.
Yeah, and I think we've seen over the years that you have also partaken of that fun and hospitality of the Hero CPL to the maximum, which is awesome to see as viewers. So I think without further ado, Nikhil, shall we start? I mean, while we wait for Tom Moody, I'm sure
Yeah.
he'll patch in when he can.
Karthikeya, just a quick word because I think it's the weekend. We have a good number of viewers who have tuned in at the start. So I just wanted to welcome all of you and wanted you to check out our previous episodes as well. And make sure that you keep asking questions because the best question here would win a free NFT, a free collectible for you. So make sure
they
you
want a
put your
trip here to the Caribbean. Come on, tell them. The winner comes out.
Sometime soon, Danny, we'll have that as well. But for now, Karthikeya, why don't we start and Tom will join in later.
Great. All right. So let's bang it out and go into the first moment of the day.
Less than 150. There's a go. That's one way to do it. You can add that one to the catcher's package. That is sensational stuff from Williams.
She's another blinder. Williams. Oh, bring on the tunes. He's unstoppable.
Well, Kesrick Williams was unstoppable. Danny, you're quite indomitable. So did you learn any moves from Kesrick Williams, or did Kesrick Williams learn some moves from you?
Yeah, this is what I'm about in terms of the Hero CPL, the characters that are involved in the game, and particularly this tournament, Carters. You get him with the dancing shoes on, apart from an extraordinary reflex catch. That is top draw. And as Mike Hazeman said in commentary, put that in the archive for the best of the season. And, the guys that get the notebooks out, and he had another celebration, didn't he, where Kesrick would get a wicket and he'd just make a little note and be cheeky, and then someone else would be signing their bat and doing all sorts of things. So the players, particularly the local players, the West Indians, almost trying to outdo each other with their celebrations and stuff. Mr. Sergeant, Cottrell and the gang, Christopher Henry Gale, Universe Boss and his. So it's a great joy to see all of this, apart from, say, the excellence in the talent of pulling off a catch like that for Kesrick. Oof.
So have you ever, pulled off a miraculous cotton ball and what kind of goes through your mind, if anything at all, in that split second?
Yeah, the difficult thing for a quick bowler in his follow through to then go back against yourself, that's a real key here, because it is, for Kesrick, as you say, he's falling away to the offside, then he's got to come back towards the onside and execute that catch. Brilliant. Takes some doing, and it's a great feeling. It really is a good feeling when you can do that, because you are off balance and you can create something one-handed. I do remember one actually, but it was last century, too long ago.
No, please, we'd love to hear it. I would love to hear it.
Well, in fact, I think in these crazy old days of Twitter, you get the odd one comes up, and I tell you, God, Ian Smith was keeping. I think we're playing Pakistan in 1989, so the retro 80s were in full vogue, and I'm trying to think. It might have been Shoaib. Might have been Shoaib Mohammed. Anyway, and got an edge, and I had to go back across the pitch like that. So I was a bit more slow mo, not as fast and furious as Kesrick's catch, but he was playing 50 over quicker, not as fast as T20. And so then I managed to go across the pitch and sort of fall. And I remember even now, it felt like a bit of slow motion. I thought, shall I? Okay, because it was the toe of the bat mishit, and it just started to lob back, and I sort of fell with it. And I ended up catching it one-handed, diving further across the pitch because, as I say, I had more time. But it's funny when they stick like that, with Kesrick holding onto one. For quick men, having to go back on yourself. It's a good vibe and a good feeling. And we won the game, Carters.
That always helps. I was actually watching your hat trick that you took against India. I'm sure our viewers know that Danny Morrison was the first New Zealander to take a hat trick in one-day internationals, and unfortunately, it was against India, where we seemed to be, Kapil Dev was almost nibbling at a victory, perhaps an improbable victory, but perhaps a victory. And Danny Morrison came and took 3 and 3 all bowls, cleanish bowls, and that was it for us. So Danny Morrison, I mean, behind all this hoopla back in the 80s, 90s, I mean, he was quite a menacing beast, if I may say.
With hair flowing.
Indeed. Great. I think it's time to jump into our second moment.
So he's changing it up. This is catchable. Is it? Is it? Are you kidding me? Is this Dan Christian? Republic Bank Classic catch, you little ripper, out of Australia.
I mean, this catch by Dan Christian is just, I think Tom Moody mentioned it yesterday during our show that there are certain things you see and see it again, but you just can't watch, can't stop watching them. They're just, fabulous.
I've got goosebumps. That's why I'm going like this with my arms. I've still got goosebumps and happened to be lucky enough calling it at the time. And Dan Christian had just come over from the UK. He'd been playing there, right? So he turned up late. TKR got into the finals. And the other, look at Munro. Partner's great. Munro can't believe it, and he jumps on top of him. It was an extraordinary catch. I mean, you think, look at it. You're running back. It's falling away from you. The boundary's fairly close, and you've got to judge all of that and back yourself. And as Tom Moody said, you've got to be so brave to take it on and think about your own preservation. That goes out the window. You just want the ball and dive and catch it. And how far it went up in the air and the distance it went as well. There at Lara, poof, huge catch, big moment in that final. Oh.
So
go Munro.
Would you reckon? I mean, a catch like this, and we don't see too many of these, running back catches. So, I mean, what's the key really? I mean, is it just literally keep your eyes on the ball and run, or is there something more to the technique?
Yeah, and you noticed that in that last little replay there, where Christian sprinting, and Dan didn't take his eye off it at all and backed himself to get there. That's the main thing for me. And listen, the other thing about it, it's at night. And you'll hear a lot of us commentators going about how difficult it is to judge a white ball falling out of the night sky because you've got artificial lights. And that whole thing about judging distance and pace of the ball coming down, the velocity of it, to take that, I tell you, that for me, and having watched a lot of great catches way back in the 21st century, test match catches, I think of Johnny Dyson for Australia, that one at the Old Trafford back in 1981, Botham's Ashes, that catch there. I look at Dyson taking that catch at third man. You look at all of those, I think over the history of the game, for me in white ball cricket too, you've got Pollard and you've got the guys leaping on the fence at long on. Moods will be able to elaborate now. He's joined us. Nice to see you out of bed, Moods. And then and then that catch from Christian. I mean, that to me, and Moods needs to have another good look at this, because this, I think it's right up there for making that ground. It's under the cover of darkness. It's a white ball falling, and that is just obscene. To get there in the first place and to hold on to that, Moods, poof.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Apologies. A few technical issues here, Danny. I can assure you I'm well and truly out of bed, but I'm having to join you via the phone against the computer because having a few technical issues. But anyway, yeah, look, they're very difficult, those ones, running away. When the ball, and you're sort of running in that direction, the judgment of that catch is near on impossible, and particularly given he had to dive as well. With the presence of another fielder around him as well. So Dan Christian is renowned as a very good fielder. He's one of those three-dimensional cricketers, and that's why he's valued around the T20 circuit, is that he brings three things to the party and he does it very well.
Yeah, and this indeed was an important game as well. Being a qualifier, you want to get up there and make it through and win the tournament. So the extra pressure of, and it was just the start of the inning. So a whole lot of other angles as well being close to the boundary. So loads of things to consider for Dan Christian in that effort.
Yes, Carters.
Yes, all right. Well, I don't know. I think Tom has Tom, are you there still?
I certainly am. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, cool. I
Getting
think
ready for the final of the 100.
Oh, yes, the 100 final moods.
It's raining. It's raining here in London, so I know that the girls have just got on for their final, but it's raining here in London, so that it could well be going into the reserve day.
Yeah. Good old London.
Good old London doesn't change. All right, let's go into moment number 3.
Last ball. Got him! Here's a celebration from El Dorado's DJ Bravo. Ripper, what a delivery.
Oh, he wanted to let him know as well, didn't he? His old teammate, his old mate, Kieran Pollard.
Danny, I've seen you dance with DJ Bravo at a post-match presentation where Kieran Pollard was keeping his steely, face, his grit. He was keeping, his gaze on. Is there really this intense, deep rivalry between the two guys, or is it just something we incorrectly perceive?
Oh, look, don't worry. There is that competitive spirit between those two Trinis. They love trying to outdo each other, and of course, they're such different characters, aren't they? They're sort of other ends of the spectrum, and Bravo's out there and fully engaged and loves to be on stage in the centre of it, and the dancer. Where Pollard, he's the big giant that just is so physically imposing and seems to be this real beast of seriousness that comes at you. But he too loves a laugh. He's a lovely, mellow dude. Sometimes it boils over, and Moods probably elaborate more on that, and has seen him a lot too. Sometimes it gets a little bit too, I think, a little over the top, possibly with the aggression, because he's so physically imposing and wants to stamp that. But yeah, they want to win, and that's the big thing. That competitive rivalry between these two is right out there.
Right. Tom, Dwayne Bravo is moving this season from Trinbago to the Patriots, seeking a challenge. Do you think there's going to be any major change in his game or what he brings to the table?
No, not at all. I think it's a good move for Bravo. It's a good move for the Caribbean Premier League, really, to spread that type of experience, that leadership and that talent to another franchise. So I think it's a good move all round. Bravo and Pollard, that rivalry goes back a long, long way. Two iconic T20 players over the history of T20 cricket. Both have played as many games as most combined teams, in comparison. They've just played a phenomenal amount of T20 games between them. And I think a lot around that celebration also relates to the fact that Bravo knows if he doesn't remove Pollard, he's in for a hard time. We've seen it so often with Pollard just absolutely destroy bowlers and attacks. And, the value of knocking him over is something pretty special. So there's the friendship, and there's just that, as Danny said, there's that huge competitive rivalry, which is healthy.
Absolutely. I mean, it's for us as viewers and what we see, it's fascinating to watch. And obviously, Bravo's rather exaggerated celebration there was also indicative of just trying to joust his mate. But be that as it may.
Yeah.
Great. Let's move on to the next one, and this is really, really exciting.
There she goes. On the ground, hero maximum. Guess who? David Warner.
Yeah, he's starting to find a groove. And you just felt that this extra pace in the pitch was going to help him.
As easy as apple pie as it is for David Warner, Tom, he's successful across all formats, tests, both forms of white ball cricket. What do you reckon is his secret?
I think his secret is keeping it pretty simple. I think he's got an uncomplicated method. He backs himself, he backs his judgment, and when he sees the moment, which is clearly where he saw the moment on that highlight, that he presses the button and he doesn't hold back. Just look at him throw himself into that. You know, he's clearly identified that a boundary is required. If it's going to be a certain length, he's going to pounce on it and commit to it. And that's the most important thing from a batting perspective is, you know, once you do identify the bowler, you know, the occasion that you do need to find a boundary, you've got 100% commit with a clear mind. And David Warner did that there, and that's a real trademark of what he's done throughout his career. He's trusted his method. A lot of people have felt that in the early parts of his career that he wouldn't make a Test cricketer because they thought that, you know, how can you come through the avenue of T20 cricket then graduate as a Test cricketer? But David Warner's just averaged just short of 50 in Test cricket as an opening batsman, so that tells you everything.
Danny, Tom mentions that it's a very simple, you know, technique. It's a simple game plan, right? So as a fast bowler, Shannon Gabriel, we just saw getting just thunked over mid on, but or over long on. So how do you deal with somebody when they're in that kind of mood? If the physical aspect is there, how do you try and maybe throw them off in any other way? How do you get under their skin?
Yeah, well, I mean, the other thing about T20 is that you have to have those changes of pace. Gabriel's got pace, and this surface that you heard there in the commentary as well, that the ball slides on nicely, which really is right up David Warner's avenue. And it's a length ball. I mean, you've also just got to admire there what Moods is touching on too, is the fast hands. And Warner tends to hold the bat further down the handle, doesn't he? And guys, the smaller guys, like wicket keepers, that have got great fast hands through the ball. So good in those areas. But yeah, round the wicket, do you change it up? Do you get a bit scared about going around the wicket and wanting to get too much in the arc? Or sometimes you just go a little bit wider on the crease and bowl a really good slower ball to stuff him up. To hit through too early and hopefully sky one up. And then if you're brave enough to risky enough, particularly against someone like Warner, do you want to try and whistle it past his ear hole? I mean, that's a massive risk as well. But Gabriel has got pace and bounce. So you've got little bits to the arsenal that you could go to. But again, it's just the execution, the timing when to do that and be brave enough to run up and then bowl a slow ball when you've disappeared for six. And if you get that wrong, which often happens, you're going to go the journey again and fetch this, please.
Great. Our barrage of sixes continues as we look at the next moment coming up.
Oh, that's gone over the line into the western stand. Sammy 165 for 6.
Ian Bishop sounding like a Brazilian football commentator there, but Danny, is that probably the largest six you've seen hit in the CPL?
Yeah. Well, you say that, and you think about Gale and Andre Russell getting hold of it, and it just wasn't his arc. Sadly, the Yorker was a little overdone there, and he missed the bowler our full toss. This is just under hip height. And levers, Darren Sammy on his own patch, stadium named after him. Oh yeah, doesn't want to miss out on those, and didn't that night. Massive, great side.
Yeah, he definitely had to bring in the big guns. Tom, you've worked with Darren Sammy at the Sunrisers. What, according to you, makes him what makes him a good leader? What makes him a good all-rounder?
I think from a leading perspective, he's just good with people. He understands the dynamic of a dressing room. He understands that there are going to be cultural differences, and he is good at moving in those different circles. And he's also good at just bringing people together. He's quite an effervescent character. He's a popular person. So people naturally gravitate to him. So that's a huge advantage from a leadership perspective. as an all-rounder, Darren over the years has evolved into more of a batsman that bowls a bit against a pure all-rounder. In the early parts of his career, he was a genuine, batsman that bowled, important overs. And then due to injury more than anything else, his bowling sort of went pretty much on the back burner, and his focus was his captaincy, his leadership, and his ability to do exactly what we saw in that clip. And that's at the end of the innings, finish off with a quick fire 20 or 30 and give his side that momentum going into a break.
Right. Our barrage of sixes continues. There's another one coming up for you as we look at our next moment.
I hear you, but Pollard doesn't. This has got wings on it. Oh, fetch it. Hero Maxima.
Maximum indeed. Now, Tom Moody, you've been known to have hit a 6 or 2 in your time. Now, that wasn't a very easy ball to hit the way Kieron Pollard hit it.
Yeah, look, I think it's one of those shots that he's clearly decided that the ball's got to disappear. It was a good length ball, sort of over or outside off stump, which on any other given day would be, defended into the offside. But Pollard, clearly at that stage of the innings was looking for boundaries, and that length is exactly the length you like to pick up and just dispatch as far and as high as you possibly can. And this man can do that well. He can hit some huge sixes. So we talked about Sammy hitting big sixes. I think this guy is, up closer to the leaderboard when it comes to the biggest six hitters in the Caribbean Premier League. So that's just a Yorker that's gone wrong. And players of that calibre are always going to pick up the delivery off that length and launch it into the night skies.
Yeah, Danny, you were commentating, and like Tom just mentioned, it didn't get up much. It's outside off stump. He got under it as well, but yet got the length, to dispatch it. I mean, how does a bowler psychologically recover from something like that? Like, I mean, what's he thinking when he goes up to the top of his run up again and bowl the next ball?
And Ben Lachlan, I mean, he is a very good T20 bowler and has quite a repertoire of slower balls. So, as Mood said, you just get it slightly wrong, and that length is just so key. The other thing about that, again, we were earlier on before Mood's clocked in with us. Again, got goosebumps watching that highlights package because of the crowd and, again, that atmosphere at the Queen's Park Oval. It just lifts you to another level, and you can see how excitable I could get. It's T20, but particularly in this part of the world, for when guys are going like that, and that theatre, that stage it's right up there with the crowd. It might not be a full house, but the noise and the party they're having. And Pollard, as Mood said, one of the biggest hitters in the game. And so when he's going, the crowd are going with him, and it's just bad luck, Benny. Get the Yorker right.
All right. On that note, let's move to our next moment.
And particularly with shots like that, that's out of here.
Bouncing like a pinball on that roof. It's big. It's very big. And here she comes. Here she comes.
A beautiful, uncomplicated 6 by Shoaib Malik for the Guyana Amazon Warriors. Danny, what makes him so effective? He plays, in leagues pretty much around the world as Shoaib Malik. What makes him so successful, playing all of these leagues across the world, across surfaces, across, temperatures, weathers, stadiums?
Again, he's another guy that's been around for so long. It's incredible. I think he made his debut back in the 20th century. It was 1999. We keep unearthing one of those because he's extraordinary to show him for how long he's been in the game. And he's another really gifted cricketer that bats up and down the order a bit. And on slower surfaces, I think he's really dangerous because, again, a subcontinent player used to slower pitches in the UAE or back in Pakistan. And again, he's slightly off. He's got one of those lovely pickups that Moody was chatting about the other day. Guys with lovely swings in the arc. Just a great hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, I'm sure he plays golf in his off time as well, as do a lot of you guys. Tom, do you reckon that that Shoaib Malik is probably one of the all-time hero CPL greats?
There's no question of that. He's one of the sort of iconic overseas players because he's done it year in, year out. He's performed as a captain, he's performed as a batsman, he's performed as a bowler in the CPL over a long sustained period. He's in the twilight of his career, but he still keeps delivering. You said uncomplicated, and that's exactly what Shoaib Malik's game's about. It's very uncomplicated. His method of batting is very simple. He understands what process he needs to go through to get to the end result. There's no sort of heart flutters. It's very organised and it's very regimented, the way he goes about any sort of batting innings, whether he's chasing runs or setting a total. He's creative as a captain. He understands the game. He reads the game very well. And his bowling is more than useful. He can bowl with a new ball in power play if the right matchup's there. If there's a left-hand opening bat, he's more than handy to use with a new ball in power play, and also can bowl throughout the innings. So he's the real package, and he deserves to be sort of recognised as one of CPL's greats.
Absolutely. We have a viewer question, which Tom, if you just take a stab at, please. The question is that should Shoaib Malik be included in Pakistan's T20 World Cup team for later this year?
Wow, okay.
Coach Moody.
Yeah, look, to be honest with you, it's a really hard question for me to answer, purely because without really understanding where Pakistan are at the moment with their squad and the balance of their squad, I'd be taking a real guess whether he should be or shouldn't be in there. But let me just get off the fence and say, if there's a better option that's got the experience and the level head that he has got, I'd like to know what that name is, because he's got an enormous amount of experience that I'm sure will provide that Pakistan side a lot of stability in the roles that he can play.
Right. Danny, what do you think?
Well, given that it's in the UAE and Shoaib's clearly played a lot of cricket there, and I'm with Moods, I would have him say, let's go further than team. Let's have him in the squad, because as Mood says, there's younger guys, and you've got Shadab Khan, and of course you're developing other guys in that role. And I see Shadab looking to perhaps take over that from Shoaib Malik. But there's no doubt, with all that experience, as Mood just ticked all those boxes, you'd have to have him in your squad there for this next World T20.
So use him a bit like, some of the franchise teams have been using Chris Gayle to bring him tactically for a few matches, maybe sit him out for a couple and bring him back. Just to have him around in the squad would be very valuable.
100%.
Yeah, and the other thing we need to remember is this World Cup, they're extended squads as well because of the COVID situation and the replacement for squads. So there's no reason why he could be considered for the extended squad. He may not be in the 15, which is the cut-off point of the playing squad. Countries have the option to have 2 or 3 or 4 players on the reserve as an extended squad. And you may just sort of think, look, if something goes wrong with player A or B, he's exactly the player that we need to bring into the squad because of what he can offer. And those players are still involved in the campaign, but they're obviously not available to play unless they're engaged as a replacement.
Absolutely. Great. We'll now move on to the next moment, number 8.
Too soft, too easy.
We heard too soft, too easy. Tom, it did really look easy, but Ross Taylor is just an incredible catcher. He's got the third highest number of catches in international cricket. So what makes him so special? What makes him just such a great fielder around the cricket field?
Well, his pedigree, comes from being a slip fielder. He's been New Zealand's first slip fielder for, over a decade. Now, that tells you enough, really, with his catching ability. So he's normally first slip in Test cricket, and in ODI cricket, you don't tend to have too many slips in T20 cricket, but that tells you he's got a very good set of hands, so he reads the catching skill very, very easily and very well. He's not your best outfielder either, Ross Taylor. He doesn't have a quick turn of pace, so you're not going to see him in hot spots in the outfield where you need that acceleration and that pace. But put him in areas where, whether it be backward point, whether it be that mid-wicket position or that extra cover position inside the ring, if anything's going in the air, trust me, it's going to be caught if Ross Taylor's there.
Indeed. Danny, how do you time your catch? How do you time your jump for a catch like this? It's got to be one of the hardest calls to make, right? And to gauge the speed of the ball and the height, and then to just measure it accurately.
Moods and I have seen a lot of Ross Taylor, big glutes, big thighs, big calves. He has popped these calves over the years, I don't know how many times, and I get on his case when I run into him and see him hobbling around. Moods has been very kind there. You won't see Ross Taylor out on the boundary running around. He has got these, he is of Samoan origin, okay? So the island origin, and they tend to be a bit like West Indians in a way. You've got those big glutes and big thighs, some of the guys, and but don't have the twitch fibres of the great, these West Indians that can zip about. And Roscoe, it has been a challenge for him, no doubt about it. And saying this here on Rario, he has had real issues with his calves. So I loved watching that replay, and that's quite recent, for him to get up, get high, and time that jump with, if you like, all the anchor that he's carrying, the concrete shoes on, to do that. So that's impressive for him, and a really good catch. And again, as Mood said, so critical, those positions. So he works at it. To be fair to Roscoe, of course he does. He's a pro, and he works at it. He's done extremely well in those close catching positions.
So you reckon a little dancing kind of gets him, a little loose and lithe to move around?
I reckon he does it better here when he's playing in the CPL. There's no doubt.
Exactly.
That rubs off.
Exactly.
West Indians rub off in the warm-ups, no doubt.
All right, great. Let's move on to moment number 9 of the evening.
Five overs and 2 balls left. Oh. Talk about some wrist work. He's fatted his first one. Hero maximum. Take that. Alzari Joseph.
Simply sensational. Yeah. From Rashid Khan, the first delivery against the big fast bowler.
Danny Morrison, I'm shocked you haven't given that shot a name already. You have to christen it. Today on the Rario Cricket Show, you have to christen that something, because that's never been seen before.
That's called the flickety stick six. I tell you, that's outrageous. That is real hockey. Moods was talking about cross-pollination of tennis players and that. Same with hockey players. And I've seen other hockey players over the years, haven't we, Moods, that can do this. That so recent too. Of course, that was only last year, wasn't it? This one was no crowd in down there at Lara. But yeah, that was just brilliant. The old wrist work, gold.
Tom, do you think that teams can utilize this prowess, if you want to call it, or ability, or technical surprise that Rashid Khan possesses as a batsman?
Oh, look at that particular shot from Rashid Khan just highlights his dominance with the bottom hand. He's a very strong bottom-handed player. You'll see him hit the ball over the leg side comfortably. You'll see him cut the ball over backward point for 6 because he's got a strong bottom hand. So it's pretty much suited to his style of batting. Most batsmen are brought up with more of a dominant, that is right-hand batsman, and with a dominant left left hand, and they keep that in the shot as long as possible, so they're hitting over mid-off or straight down the ground or over straight mid-on. But Rashid Khan, his natural go-to area is either square of the wicket on the offside or over that leg side. But that's just that shot there is just an exaggeration of like a coiled spring, how he just flicks it back and slaps it over that mid-wicket boundary for 6. He's unique. He's got his own style, but when he gets going, he's hard to stop.
Danny Morrison, you called it the flickety 6.
What do you got? The wristy, the wristy flickety stick.
The wristy flickety 6. All right.
Well, just keep throwing it in different.
We'll find it from when we see the show again. All right, so we'll move now to our last moment of the evening, which is just a moment of brilliance.
Create that difficulty. Is that gone? Ross Taylor is putting his arm under his bat. My goodness, when it goes wrong, it goes totally wrong for one or two teams in this tournament.
So the 2020 season of the Heroes CPL saw the New Zealanders in supreme athletic ability in the field. Clearly, after we saw Ross Taylor's catch a couple of moments ago, we now see Tim Seifert. Danny, what was happening in the Heroes CPL last year? What is up with the Kiwis?
Well, it was about getting here because of COVID. And the wonderful thing was the Heroes CPL, kudos to actually have the tournament get off the ground in the first place, given the pandemic. And again, just guys available. Time of the year doesn't suit everyone, but players do make themselves available because they love coming here. That's the bottom line. And Seifert, who, as people, cricket fans watching cricket in recent times, know that he's a bit of a clone of his hero, which was Brendan McCullum. Of course, is the coach there now at TKR. So Timmy Seifert, live wire, bubbly guy, zip. And that's what wicketkeepers do. And then that's, seeing something like that, quite extraordinary. But, you bat keepers in the modern era to do that. Glove off quickly, pick up, side on throw. This time it hit. See you, Roscoe. Unlucky champ. Watch those calves, Roscoe. Be careful.
Tom Moody, this last shot of Tim Seifert where the shot just froze, it reminded me of John T. Rose from that infamous run out of Inzamamuluk, I think it was in the 90s. Of course, John T. Rose is fielding legendary, benchmark setter. But this is really hard, like what Danny just mentioned as well, that for a keeper to get his gloves off, get to the ball, think of picking up the ball, seeing the single stump, and then, hitting them this is awesome talent.
Yeah, it is. It's you have to be athletic for a start to be able to do that, and it's a practice skill. These keepers and fielders practice, side-on throws like that. They also practice the dive throw. All those things are rehearsed. It doesn't happen just as a one-off. So it's something they've done for a long time. Some do it better than others because they're a little bit more athletic than others. Jonty Rhodes was, as you say, he was a benchmark fielder at backward point, and we saw him do that regularly. But that was his brand, and that's what he was particularly good at. But it just also shows you the modern game does ask you to possess those types of skills, and it does attract those real athletes. And when it comes to selection, at the end of the day, you tend to look at not only the batting and bowling skill of someone, but you also look at their athleticism and where they're going to fit into the field. Because if you can have a few fielders, I know that was an example of a keeper, but if you have a few fielders that can pull off those types of half chances over a tournament, it makes a significant difference to your campaign.
Absolutely. I mean, that was just an awesome effort to run out Ross Taylor. Gents, thank you so much for sitting through with us and going through all the moments of the evening. Nikhil now joins us as we take some user, viewer, friends of Rario, some questions from the audience. Nikhil.
Danny, this one has popped up, so I'll try and answer this, and then you have to repeat after me. So the question is, I hear different versions of Rario, the pronunciation, and they want to know if it is Rario or Rario. So it is Rario, Danny. Would like
Rario.
to hear you. Rario.
Rario. It sounds like a Brazilian footballer. Rario on the ball now, dude. Isn't it? Goal.
No, that was Romario. This is Rario.
This is Rario. Good. That's his younger brother. Changed his name by default. Rario. Good.
Cool. So we'll have a couple of questions, and I'm asking them as an audience member. So there was one question. I'll just pull it up. But Tom, this question was to you. You have. You have recently been involved in the 100, and of course you have coached and been part of multiple teams, both from the from the commentary and at the back end, the managing coaching part. So what do you feel are the different flavors in terms of CPL? How is it different? What are the elements that are same? What are the things that change across these leagues?
Well, I think that the CPL, for example, is a very unique franchise tournament where what it does, it really showcases the culture of the Caribbean as well as any franchise tournament does in world cricket. There's a real sense of the flavour of the Caribbean when you go there. The music, the dance, the spirit, the way the game is played. Danny will know this as well as anyone. He's pretty much been entrenched in this whole journey in the Caribbean Premier League. So I think that the CPL is unique in that sense that what it does, it presents its brand better than any other franchise tournament. You look at then the IPL, for instance, the Indian Premier League. Now that is recognised more because it is by far the strongest franchise tournament in world cricket. It is the superstars of all superstars playing off in an amazing spectacle. You look at the Big Bash in Australia. If I'm thinking Big Bash, I'm thinking families. I'm thinking children. I'm thinking mum taking the kids and the kids' best friends to the cricket for an evening or an afternoon out. So every franchise tournament's got a unique, I suppose, style to it or footprint. But the Caribbean Premier League has got very much a very distinctive one, which is a memorable one.
Right, and that shines through. Danny, your comments on that? You have also been all around the world.
Oh, look, reiterating totally what Mood said. And look, for me, I have a thespian background. My mother was involved in the arts and did a drama diploma at Auckland University when I was a youngster. And so I was exposed to those, thespian types. So for me to get on there and jump around on stage and jump up with the Trini posse and then, get dressed up in the masquerade outfits and they go, can you add Morrison loose down there or get in the swimming pool? Not a problem for me because that's part of my personality. And like Mood, I love engaging with people and talking and that. So I've been very, very blessed and grateful that this has spawned from the IPL, which was 2008. This started in 2013. And so, everyone involved behind the scenes that makes this happen should also, kudos to them to get it happening and continuing to happen. A lot of logistical challenges here. But then when you haven't got COVID and you just see what it does to the wider audience, the social fabric of this part of the world, second to none. And that's why we love coming. It's just so unique.
Right. And talking of arts and culture and showcasing your culture, do you know how to haka?
A little bit, yeah, for sure. Like we cricketers don't necessarily, of course, that's the winter code thing of the All Blacks, the rugby, and a few other, guys and teams do it at the Olympics. Some of the rowers will do it too and get into it a bit. But it is such a cultural thing too, and it is very.
A little bit, just give us a little bit, Danny. Just a little.
They wanted to jumping in here, and I love that position when they get it. Hey, come my day, come my day. Just giving a full dancing and going crazy, and then slipping one at the end. Things like rugby, clash code, very physical. But cricket, we're gentlemen. and we're usually just dancing and drinking in the aisles.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that out, Tom. Danny, you missed out on the tongue part, but I guess we'll leave it to another episode.
It's a family show. Come on.
Right. So my next question, bit of a jogging your memory kind of questions. But Danny, I know that your memory is quite good because you remember my hometown, playing in my hometown Jamshedpur at the Keenan Stadium. So I'll ask.
Steel Town.
Yes. Thanks for remembering that. I was in the stadium in that match, and great batch, Martin Crowe, you were there. So it was good
freaky.
Good to see that in action. And as I said, it was Roger 2's debut match. So all of those memories, you have a great recollection. Clearly, now I'll put you in a spot. In the past 3 days, we have seen 30 moments across these silver set. If you had to open a pack, so one pack on our website on Rario has 5 moments. If you had to pick up 3-4 moments from these set of moments as a part of your pack, what do you think they would be?
Well, I've got good long-term memory, not short-term memory. You know, it's like, geez, put on the spot here. But I think that Dan Christian one, I'm going to definitely go with that Dan Christian pack. And that is a hell of a catch. And then one of the earlier ones there, I mean, Andre Russell is flying one, I suppose, Superman, that catch there. I mean, you could throw any of the sixes. I mean, I love that one of Pollard just on today's show, that 6 there. And even Warner's hitting one, that striking there. And then I can't forget that other catch, the slow-mo one we had there from St. Lucia, Jonathan Carter. It's funny, it's been more about catches there. And then I suppose from a bowling thing, you like to see the stumps go flying for sure. Let's throw in Dale Steyn, ripping out that leg stump. Hoorah! And that's it.
Nothing about the celebrations. A couple of them had really great celebrations.
Oh, well, don't overdo those. No, look, save those in the vault. You probably go with it. Yeah, Kesrick. I do like Kesrick Williams because the sliding on the there, and he often gets the notebook out and does stuff. As much as we love DJ Bravo, I'm going with Kesrick. Quite right.
Awesome, Tom. Over to you now. Now to put you on the spot.
I liked the Bravo Yorker today. That's the execution of that round the wicket, massive wicket. Getting Pollard. I thought that was pretty good. I have to throw AB de Villiers in there, even though I've seen AB de Villiers play some other remarkable cricketing shots just because of who he is. I think at the moment he and Gale are probably two of the most iconic T20 players in the short history of T20 cricket. So I'd like to have AB de Villiers in that pack. And I think the final one for me would probably have to be the Warner 6 today. That was vintage Warner. Length balls, nothing wrong with that ball. The bowler, Gabriel's probably walking back to his mark, scratching his head, thinking, well, what have I got wrong there? Well, he's got nothing really wrong. It was just an unbelievable shot that was launched over mid-wicket for a mighty 6. So that'll be my 3.
Right. Thanks for that. And great memory because I
demanding boy. Too demanding.
Right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks to Tom and Danny and Kartikeya for hosting the show. And tomorrow, if you like these moments, you have to, be really prepared because we'll move up a tier into the gold moments, and those will be breathtaking, even better than the ones that you have seen over the past 3 days. For those of you who just tuned in for today's show, make sure you go back to our YouTube channel and watch the previous 2 episodes with Tom and Danny at their best, narrating those 20 moments apart from the 10 that you saw today. And we'll see you tomorrow at the same time at 7:30 IST and 2 p.m. UTC. And we'll have 10 another epic moments lined up for you tomorrow. So thanks, everyone.
Cheers, guys. See you all.